Suppose you were to find yourself in this earth, without having the knowledge and the history and all these things taught to you as a child. What would you see? What would you try to piece together, say, if you were the first arrival here? There are many elements that I would find very confusing, particularly in the world of architecture. There are structures such as this, which are composed of such attention to detail, such technical skill, and such beauty and grandeur, that it's doubtful we could even create them today. Yet we are told that they were created hundreds of years ago with very primitive tools. No power tools, no electricity. Ropes and pulleys, donkeys, steam shovel maybe, chisel, hammers, and the like. If you were to find yourself here with someone telling you this story, I think that you would find it to be impossible. And I think, for the most part, it is impossible. Impossible to have been constructed in the way that they tell us. And very improbable when you consider just the purpose. Who would go to such insane lengths at such an early time with such primitive tools to create something that in a way lacked purpose? I don't know of any clause or verse or rule in any Bible or any Western religion that says that worship or prayer in a building that looks so beautiful just increased your chances of a strong afterlife, or the churches were supposed to help the community not waste countless hours and resources on things like beauty, aesthetics from the outside. Modern churches in America are often held in strip malls. I don't believe that even to followers of the religion that is somehow a hindrance to achieving worship or a stronger relationship with their God. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there is anything in any religion that states that these buildings must be constructed in such a fashion. Yet we see it over and over again. It doesn't create more powerful worship. It doesn't transmit your prayers with more success. As I mull this over here, when I compare it to modern buildings, the only parallel I can really draw to is this. Or maybe this. These, I think of radio towers. This bears the closest similarity. Not as grand, of course, not as beautiful. Quite rinky-dinky compared to the ones on top of the old buildings. But these are not built for form, merely function. Maybe the earlier ones, built by greater artisans, were built for form and function. Maybe they were thankful for the technology, and maybe they were used as an opportunity to blast the glory and the opulence in which they obviously were able to live and create such things. Now, I mentioned before my personal belief that we are living in the bones of an older civilization, that are being deliberately hidden from history. Now, whether or not you ascribe to that, if we were to find these sort of things everywhere on Earth, but of a more ancient build, would that prove that there was an earlier empire? No. It might add to the argument. But if you look around the world today, places currently under conflict, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Sudan, and Syria, what you'd find is that the buildings stylistically, the homes and some of the businesses look very different. The power plants look like power plants. The individual routers look like routers. The technology looks the same. They don't necessarily have to be in cooperation with everyone, but the technology remains the same. So in that case, to find something like this, to find something like these, would maybe not prove an empire, but it might prove that these are, rather than architecture, they are actually technology. After all, the power plants would look the same. The other theory, the one that we're often given, is that the missionaries and the crusaders and the traveling monks throughout the world were all master artisans, all master craftsmen, and anywhere they went, they knew where to find the materials, the labor, the technical skill, and had the time and resources to erect these amazing monuments and cathedrals all over the realm, and numerous, and they did it simply because they wanted their churches to look nice, and they hold no function whatsoever. That's the story that we've been given. So I kind of hunted around this particular style, these spires with these little knob-like protrusions, and tried to see where I could find them throughout the earth, and whether or not they fit the timeline. And so we'll just take a little cruise, and you can form your own conclusion as to what you think is the real reason behind them. Personally, I can't unsee it. They look so out of place. They look so obviously, in my mind, like transmitters or antenna. They look like an electrical component, a power plant, which would explain why they're in every city. Colonists built them. Fuck out of here. Prove it. Build one today, using the same tools they had. Can't do it. That ain't really about what I think, though. What do you think? Cathedrals? Or some sort of power plant? This is just the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. This is just exhibit 1. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. Tell you what, we can meet you in the middle. For those of you that think that they are exactly what we're told they are, okay, we'll run with that. Maybe they are. Maybe we just pronounce them a little differently. If you're still watching, if you made it this far, thank you for your time. Sincerely. Excellent.